Hello there, Sarah Carter here for Produce Like a Pro, and today I've got 3 tips that I think will help you mix better sounding backing vocals. There are 4 great reasons for giving backing vocals a great deal of attention during the mixing process. I remember that I'm probably guilty of not giving them as much attention as they should have had when I first started mixing. They always felt like a bit of a secondary thing or the last thing to do at the end of every mix. But really, backing vocals play a huge part in adding depth, dimension and richness to a song, making it sound much more captivating and dynamic than one that is perhaps just got 1 or 2 solitary vocals. And when you're writing backing vocal parts for your productions, there are 4 areas where backing vocals can really enhance your songs. First, they add depth and dimension to the song, and they do that by giving the track a sense of space because they really fill out the soundstage, and therefore the song will come together in a much more cohesive way. Secondly, they can emphasise the emotional content of the lyrics, and they do this by emphasising certain phrases or lines, and they can change the whole mood of the song as well, depending on the type of effects you use to process them. By mixing the backing vocals in a way that supports the emotional message behind the song, it can evoke a really strong emotional response from your listeners. So I'm thinking here about where you might take a backing vocal and make it sound really ghostly or ethereal, so it sounds really far back behind the main vocal. That's going to create a completely different mood to where you might use EQ and some sort of distortion or saturation to change that tone into something that's more telephonic or like a megaphone, for example. Thirdly, they can create a sense of balance in a mix. And what I mean by that is they add to the sense of balance by highlighting key elements of the song. So, for example, the chorus. And what plays into that is the expectation from the listener. What sounds familiar to them makes it more easy to listen to, and therefore it's going to sound like you've created a more cohesive mix. Then mixing the vocals in a considered way ensures that they won't end up overpowering the main vocal or in fact even some of the other instruments in the mix. And lastly, they just add interest to the song. A song's more interesting when you've got added layers of textures and subtle harmonics through vocal harmonies, through extra ad-libs or through counter melodies. Just adds a whole new dimension to a song, and this is going to keep the listener engaged, and this is what we want. We want listeners to listen to our songs all the way through. And whilst those are considerations you need to make early on in the whole process, in pre-production, how can we as mixers create backing vocals that sound balanced in a mix? Well, today I want to share with you my top 3 tips to help you get your backing vocals to sound cohesive and gelled in your mix.
Dreaming of freedom, back in your bedroom, if I knew what I know now.
If there's any mismatched consonants here that catch our ear left to right with these lead doubles, then we might have to go in and just line them up with the main vocal so that they match and they hit at the same time and they're just not going to distract the listener. They're not hard panned anyway, they're just kind of wrapping round the lead vocal at the moment. But it's just something to be aware of and to think of when you're working with layered vocals like this. So that's Becky's vocals sorted out. Let's keep going down the line now and let's listen to what the guys are doing with these harmonies.
Looking back, the future's bright, got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
So, not the guys, lower Becky.
Looking back, the future's bright, got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
Okay, what you're hearing there, you're hearing that mismatch, the T of hindsight at the very end of the line here. is being sung at different times. So it becomes really noticeable in the speakers. A little tip to line up consonants in overlapping vocals, like doubles, harmonies, backing vocals. If the consonants are mismatched, then you can hear that in the speakers, and it just can be distracting. So I want to fix that on this performance. It's just really this kind of last phrase here. I'm just going to create a cut there. Let's kind of go with a tighter cut here and the same there. So we've got these two doubles, these two low harmonies, that we need the T section here to line up with the T section here on the main bridge vocal. So the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it with Audio Suite, and I'm going to do it with Vocaline. It's just really great because I could just edit it. I could just put a cut here and move the T later in time. But it's going to be quite detached then from this section of the vocal here. So it'd be quite nice if we can sort of stretch that in a way that doesn't sound silly. So let's see what Vocaline can do. I'm going to use a tightest timing. Actual fact, let's try a slightly loose timing. I'm going to use the main bridge vocal as the capture, as the guide, and then I'm going to add the first low harmony and then click render. And you can see that it's stretched it a little bit. Let's just see what that sounds like.
Vision with hindsight. Vision with hindsight.
That's much more lined up. Let's try it now with this, the second harmony. Capture that, render it. Okay. And again.
Vision with hindsight.
Yeah, it's much better. The T is lined up now, so that's sounding great. And then if we listen to this phrase with these vocals, and let's just push the level of these up a bit so we can hear them in the mix, because I just want to hear that they sound naturalistic before I add any of my compression. Let's just hear it.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 2020 vision with hindsight.
That's done what I wanted it to do. Really quick, really easy way to just get your backing vocals to line up and the consonants to line up so that they don't sound mismatched left to right and pull the attention of your listener. We want them to listen to the music. We don't want them to notice this kind of like weird shifting happening in the speakers. So all those parts now are lined up. It's particularly noticeable at the end of lines. So it really can make a difference. Now I can move on, and I'm happy to get my compression in place now and any other processing that these harmonies need. First thing that I think I need to do, because they're quite low, sung quite low, I'm going to get this multiband on. Make sure that we're controlling the low mids here and also the S's.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 2020 vision with hindsight.
So I just need to pull back a bit.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got.
And I might just pull a bit back on this.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 2020 vision with hindsight.
The other consideration with backing vocals is you don't want S's and T's being too bright. We leave that for the lead vocal, but for the backing vocals, just kind of dull down the S's and the T's so that they too don't distract from the main vocal.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 2020 vision with hindsight.
It's really grabbing home. Just that 200 hertz range just needs a little bit of smoothing out. So I think I may just pull back down on the control here.
Looking back.
Just getting a few of those T's coming through.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 2020 vision with hindsight.
That's better. And then for good measure and follow up is just to add a little bit of de-esser as well.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 2020 vision with hindsight.
Yes, we've really controlled the S's, the T's and the timing there of the consonants in those low harmonies. It's going to feel like a much more tight performance as well in the mix. We'll keep the ratio at 4. I want it to move a little bit more than the vocal bridge, which is the main vocal. And then my thinking behind that is that movement again, that difference. It's not going to be it's sung differently anyway, but it's not going to be, in terms of dynamics, mirroring the bridge vocal. So the bridge vocal is at 8-1, it's solid, it's sitting there, it's not moving anywhere. Whereas the harmonies, we're just letting them move a little bit more naturally, so you're getting that kind of bounce, rhythm in the harmonies that's going to be slightly different to what the main vocal is doing. So it's going to add to that separation, that feel of separation and stereo width. Again, even though these harmonies aren't panned hard, left hard, right. That's my feeling behind it and thinking behind it anyway. Listen to both of them.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
Get the LA2A in as well. Again, I'm choosing the grey because I don't want these harmonies to have too much in the S department.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight. Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
And let's copy that over. And then one last de-esser. I've said it before, it's a really great tip, and that is to spread the de-essing duties across several different de-essers so that you get a more natural sound at the end of it, and you avoid that kind of effect as well.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
Okay, that's feeling good.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
So let's listen to what's happening now with all the vocals in the mix at this point, now that we've got the dynamic control and the multibands in.
Looking back, the future's bright. Got 20/20 vision with hindsight.
Yeah, sounding great. Just need to level balance them now, really. Make sure that they're sitting nicely along inside all this instrumentation. So let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, I'm going to get the Studer across these to really help kind of smush them into the same space.
Oh, dreaming of freedom. Oh, back in your bedroom.
So the idea is to hit the tape really hard with these backing vocals, and this also goes towards that, helping that gang vocal feel. So I'm going to mute these main vocals because I want to concentrate on these backing vocals right now. Let's listen again.
Oh, oh, oh.
With backing vocals, gang vocals, you always want them to sound a little bit duller than the main vocals. Push them back to sit behind the vocal a little bit. So that's why I've chosen the GP9 tape here. And then if I want to dull them even further, I could just go to the high frequency knob up here. Yeah, the key here is just to smash the tape.
Oh, oh, oh.
So it's also adding an element of a distortion as well. So there you have it, my top 3 tips. First of all, timing. Make sure your consonants all line up with the main vocal so that nothing is distracting you in the speakers left and right. And your attention is focused on the main vocal, yet it's being wrapped by these wonderful sounding harmony vocals. Secondly, sibilance. Getting those S's and T's and sometimes F's under control so that they're not distracting and causing your listener to focus on the strange sounds left and right rather than your main vocal. Yes, you can go in manually and on each S and T and sometimes F, go in and pull down the volume of each of those sibilant frequencies. And sometimes that can sound more natural than using a de-esser or a multiband compressor. So you've got to try what works best for you, because it is dependent on the singer, the microphone, the lines that they're singing, and the rest of the instrumentation. So just try out a few different techniques to see what works best for you. And finally, just taking off some high frequencies with simple EQ, a high cut filter or a high shelf. Just pull the frequencies down a touch so that they just sound a little duller, and therefore they will sit behind the main vocal. Now, you've just seen me do it using the tape machine, which is the same idea. And if you consider these 3 tips, then you're well on your way to having backing vocals that complement the lead vocal perfectly. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it informative, or at least I hope you found it entertaining. And by following these tips, you're going to be well on your way to creating professional sounding backing vocals that complement the lead singer. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And finally, just taking off some high filters